Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me for the reading of the Holy Bible. I am doing this a little bit differently. I typically record these on Sunday, but since those of you that do pay attention to my channel, I'm going to go ahead and actually try to record these earlier in the week so as to actually get them taken care of properly and on time, as well as so as I can actually upload on time, which I have been quite bad about lately, and I do apologize for that. So without any further delays, let us begin with Chapter 17 of Numbers. Chapter 17, Rods of the people put in the tabernacle. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and take of every one of them a rod by their kindreds. Of all the princes of the tribes, 12 rods, and write the name of every man upon his rod. The name of Aaron shall be for the tribe of Levi, and one rod shall contain all their families. And thou shalt lay them up in the tabernacle of the covenant before the testimony, where I will speak to thee. Whomsoever of thee I shall choose, his rod shall blossom, and I will make to cease from me the murmurings of the children of Israel, wherewith they murmur against you. Aaron's rod blooms. And Aaron spoke to the children of Israel, and all the princes gave him rods, one for every tribe, and there were 12 rods besides the rod of Aaron. And when Moses had laid them up before the Lord in the tabernacle of the testimony, he returned on the following day, and found that the rod of Aaron for the house of Levi was budded, and that the buds swelling it had bloomed blossoms, which, spreading the leaves, were formed into almonds. Moses therefore brought out all the rods from before the Lord to all the children of Israel, and they saw, and every one received their rods. Aaron's rod is a token. And the Lord said to Moses, Carry back the rod of Aaron into the tabernacle of the testimony, that it may be kept there for a token of the rebellious children of Israel, and that their complaints may cease from me, lest they die. And Moses did as the Lord had commanded. And the children of Israel said to Moses, Behold, we are consumed, we all perish. Whosoever approacheth to the tabernacle of the Lord, he dieth. Are we all to a man to be utterly destroyed? Chapter 18, Duties of the priests and Levites. The Lord said to Aaron, Thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary, and you and thy sons with thee shall bear the sins of your priesthood. Chapter 18, verse 1. Thou and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of thy sanctuary. In example, you shall be punished if through negligence or want or of due attention you err in the discharge of the sacred functions for which you are ordained. And take with thee thy brethren, also the tribe of Levi, and the scepter of thy father, and let them be ready in hand, and minister to thee. But thou and thy sons shall minister in the tabernacle of the testimony, and the Levites shall watch to do thy commands, and about all the works of the tabernacle. Only they shall not come nigh the vessels of the sanctuary, nor the altar, lest both they die. And you also perish with them, but let them be with thee, and watch in the charge of the tabernacle, and in all the ceremonies thereof. A stranger shall not join himself with you. Watch ye in the charge of the sanctuary, and the ministry of the altar, lest indignation rise upon the children of Israel. I have given you your brethren, the Levites, from among the children of Israel, and have delivered them for a gift to the Lord to serve in the ministries of the tabernacle. But thou and thy sons look ye to the priesthood, and all things that pertain to the service of the altar, and that are within the veil, shall be executed by the priest. If any stranger shall approach, he shall be slain. Portions for the priest. And the Lord said to Aaron, Behold, I have given thee the charge of my first fruits. All things that are sanctified by the children of Israel I have delivered to thee, and to thy sons for the priestly office, by everlasting ordinances. These therefore shalt thou take of the things that are sanctified and are offered to the Lord. Every offering and sacrifice and whatsoever is rendered to me for sin and for trespass, and become holy of holies, shall be for thee and thy sons. Thou shalt eat it in the sanctuary. The males only shall eat thereof, because it is a consecrated thing to thee. But the first fruits which the children of Israel shall vow and offer, I have given to thee, and to thy sons, and to thy daughters, by a perpetual law. He that is clean in thy house shall eat them. All the best of the oil, and of the wine, and of the corn, whatsoever first fruits they offer to the Lord. I have given them to thee, all the first ripe of the fruits that the ground bringeth forth, and which are brought to the Lord, shall be for thy use. He that is clean in thy house shall eat them. Everything that the children of Israel shall give by vow shall be thine. Whatsoever is firstborn of all flesh, which they offer to the Lord, whether it be of men or of beasts, shall belong to thee. Only for the firstborn of man thou shalt take a piece, and every beast that is unclean thou shalt cause to be redeemed. And the redemption of it shall be after 1 month for 5 sickles of silver, by the weight of the sanctuary. A sickle hath 20 obols, but the firstlong of a cow and of a sheep and of a goat thou shalt not cause to be redeemed, because they are sanctified to the Lord. Their blood only thou shalt pour upon the altar, and their fat thou shalt burn for a most sweet odor to the Lord. But the flesh shall fall to thy use, as the consecrated breast, and the right shoulder shall be thine. All the firstfruits of the sanctuary which the children of Israel offer to the Lord, I have given to thee and to thy sons and daughters by a perpetual ordinance, is a covenant of salt forever before the Lord, to thee and to thy sons. A covenant of salt is a proverbial expression signifying a covenant not to be altered or corrupted, as salt is used to keep things from corruption. Potions for the Levites. The Lord said to Aaron, You shall possess nothing in their land, neither shall you have a portion among them. I am thy portion and inheritance in the midst of the children of Israel. And I have given to the sons of Levi all the tithes of Israel for a possession for the ministry wherewith they serve me in the tabernacle of the covenant, that the children of Israel may not approach any more to the tabernacle, nor commit deadly sin, but only the sons of Levi may serve me in the tabernacle, and bear the sins of the people. It shall be an everlasting ordinance in your generation. They shall not possess any other thing, but be content with the oblation of tithes, which I have separated for their uses and necessities. Deadly sin, an example, sin which will bring death after it. Offerings of Levites. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Command the Levites, and declare unto them, When you shall receive of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you, offer the firstfruits of them to the Lord. That is to say, the 10th part of the 10th, that it may be reckoned to you as an oblation of firstfruits, as well as the barn floors, as of the winepresses, and all the things of which you receive tithes. Offer the firstfruits to the Lord, and give them to Aaron the priest. All the things that you shall offer of the tithes, and shall separate for the gifts of the Lord, shall be the best and choicest things. And thou shalt say to them, If thou offer all the goodly and the better things of the tithes, it shall be reckoned to you, as if you had given the firstfruits of the barn floor and the winepress, and you shall eat them in all your places, both you and your families, because it is your reward for the ministry, wherewith you serve in the tabernacle of the testimony. And you shall not sin this point by reserving the choicest and fat things to yourselves, lest you profane the oblations of the children of Israel, and die. Chapter 19. Okay, chapter 19. Water of expiation. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the observance of the victim which the Lord hath ordained. Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee a red cow of full age, in which there is no blemish, and which hath not carried the yoke. A red cow. This red cow offered in sacrifice for sin, the ashes of which mingled with water, the unclean were to be expiated and purified, was a figure of the passion of Christ, by whose precious blood applied to our souls, the holy sacraments, we are cleansed from our sins. And you shall deliver her to Eleazar the priest, who shall bring her forth without the camp, and shall immolate her in the sight of all. And dipping his finger in her blood, shall sprinkle it over against the door of the tabernacle 7 times, and shall burn her in the sight of all, delivering up to the fire her skin, and her flesh, and her blood, and her dung. The priest shall also take cedar wood and hyssop, and scarlet twice dyed, and cast it into the flame, with which the cow is consumed. And then after washing his garments and body, he shall enter into the camp, and shall be unclean until the evening. He also that hath burnt her shall wash his garments and his body, and shall be unclean until the evening. And a man that is clean shall gather up the ashes of the cow, and shall pour them forth without the camp, in a most clean place, that they may be reserved for the multitude of the children of Israel, and for a water of aspersion, because the cow was burnt for sin. And when he that carried the ashes of the cow hath washed his garments, he shall be unclean until the evening. The children of Israel and the strangers that dwell among them shall observe this for a holy thing by a perpetual ordinance. Use of the water of expiation. He that toucheth the corpse of a man, and is therefore unclean 7 days, shall be sprinkled with this water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th, and so shall be cleaned. If he were not sprinkled on the 3rd day, he cannot be cleansed on the 7th. Every one that toucheth the corpse of a man, is not sprinkled with this mixture, shall profane the tabernacle of the Lord, and shall perish out of Israel, because he was not sprinkled with the water of expiation. He shall be unclean, and his uncleanness shall remain upon him. This is the law of a man that dieth in a tent. All that go into his tent, and all the vessels that are there, shall be unclean 7 days. The vessel that hath no cover, nor binding over it, shall be unclean. If any man in the field touch the corpse of a man that was slain, or that died of himself, or his bone, or his grave, he shall be unclean 7 days. And they shall take of the ashes of the burning and of the sin offering, and shall pour living waters upon them into a vessel. And a man that is clean shall dip hyssop in them, and shall sprinkle therewith all the tent, and all the furniture, and the men that are defiled with touching any such thing. And in this manner he that is clean shall purify the unclean on the 3rd and on the 7th day. And being expiated the 7th day, he shall wash both himself and his garments, and be unclean until the evening. If any man be not expiated after this rite, his soul shall perish out of the midst of the church, because he hath profaned the sanctuary of the Lord, and was not sprinkled with the water of purification. This precept shall be an ordinance forever. He also that sprinkled the water shall wash his garments. Every one that shall touch the waters of expiation shall be unclean until the evening. Whatsoever a person toucheth who is unclean, he shall make it unclean. And the person that toucheth any of these things shall be unclean until the evening. Chapter 20. Death of Mary. And the children of Israel and all the multitude came into the desert of Sin in the 1st month, and the people abode in caves, and Mary died there, and was buried in the same place. The people complained for lack of water, and the people, wanting water, came together against Moses and Aaron, and making a sedition, they said, Would God we had perished among our brethren before the Lord! Why have you brought out the church of the Lord into the wilderness, that both we and our cattle should die? Why have you made us come up out of Egypt, and have brought us into this wretched place, which cannot be sowed, nor bringeth forth figs, nor vines, nor pomegranates, neither is there any water to drink? Moses and Aaron pray for water. And Moses and Aaron, leaving the multitude, went into the tabernacle of the covenant, and fell flat upon the ground, and cried to the Lord, and said, O Lord God, hear the cry of this people, and open to them thy treasure, a fountain of living water, that being satisfied they may cease to murmur. God gives water out of a rock. And the glory of the Lord appeared over them, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take the rod, and assemble the people together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak to the rock before them, and it shall yield waters. And when thou hast brought forth water out of the rock, all the multitude and their cattle shall drink. Moses therefore took the rod, which was before the Lord, as he had commanded him, and having gathered together the multitude before the rock, he said to them, Hear ye, rebellious and incredulous, can we bring you forth water out of this rock? And when Moses had lifted up his hand, and struck the rock twice with the rod, there came forth water in great abundance, so that the people and their cattle drank. The rock was a figure of Christ, and the water that issued out from the rock of his precious blood, the source of all our good. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Because you have not believed me to sanctify me before the children of Israel, you shall not bring these people into the land, which I will give them. This is the water of contradiction, where the children of Israel strove with words against the Lord, and he was sanctified in them. You have not believed. The fault of Moses and Aaron on this occasion was a certain diffidence and weakness of faith, not doubting of God's power or veracity, but apprehending the unworthiness of that rebellious and incredulous people, and therefore speaking with some ambiguity. Edomites refused passage to the Israelites. In the meantime, Moses sent messengers from Cades to the king of Edom, to say, Thus saith thy brother Israel, Thou knowest all the labor that hath come upon us, in what manner our fathers went down into Egypt, and there we dwelt a long time, and the Egyptians afflicted us and our fathers, and how we cried to the Lord. And he heard us, and sent an angel, who hath heard us, and sent And he heard us and sent an angel who hath brought us out of Egypt. Lo, we are now in the city of Cades, which is in the uttermost of thy borders. And we beseech thee that we may have leave to pass through thy country. We will not go through the fields, nor through the vineyards. We will not drink the waters of thy walls, but we will go by the common highway, neither turning aside to the right hand nor to the left, till we are past thy borders. And Edom answered them, Thou shalt not pass by me. If thou dost, I will come out armed against thee. And the children of Israel said, We will go by the beaten way, and if we and our cattle drink of thy waters, we will give thee what is just. There shall be no difficulty in the price. Only let us pass speedily. But he answered, Thou shalt not pass. And immediately he came forth to meet them with an infinite multitude and a strong hand. Neither would he condescend to their desires to grant them passage through his borders. Wherefore Israel turned another way from him. Death of Aaron. And when they had removed the camp from Cades, they came to Mount Hor, which is in the borders of the land of Edom, and where the Lord spoke to Moses. Let Aaron, saith he, go to his people, for he shall not go into the land which I have given the children of Israel, because he was incredulous to my words at the waters of contradiction. Take Aaron and his son with him, and bring them up into Mount Hor, and where they have stripped the father of his vesture, thou shalt vest therewith Eleazar his son. Aaron shall be gathered to his people and die there. Moses did as the Lord had commanded, and they went up into the Mount Hor before all the multitude. And when he had stripped Aaron of his vestments, he vested Eleazar his son with them. And Aaron, being dead in the top of the mountain, he came down with Eleazar. And all the multitude, seeing that Aaron was dead, mourned for him 30 days throughout all their families. Thank you for joining me for chapters 17, 18, 19, and 20 of Numbers. Join me next week as we happen to do chapters 21, 22, 23, and 24. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me, and you all have a wonderful day. God bless.